Good afternoon, Pathfinders. It's ESO Vernon here again with another one of my fireside chats. Yet again, not by a fireside. I'm again here and doing our video in my room. And you guessed it, that's because we're going to talk a little bit more about uniforms. This time the subject is ribbons. We did one recently on braids, but I do get lots of questions about the ribbons. A lot of people treat they don't realize how easy ribbons are to work with. So let me show you. So of course, we know in Pathfinders, anytime you finish an advanced class or finish teaching an advanced class, you get a ribbon. And if you get all 6, you can remove all 6 of them and replace them with a handy plaque, which Advent Source sells with all 6 on it. And you're like, yeah, I got them all. Perfect. And they're all neat and nice. But then we ruin it. And then you go, well, I got good conduct. Now I have 7. Well, the Advent Source doesn't sell 6 with good conduct for a 7th one. And you add that 7th one at the top, and with that plaque around it, the 6, it gets lost, that little one by itself up top. Sometimes they flip over the top of it, it sinks behind it, depending on how you wear your shirt and the shape of how it sits on your chest and everything, right? And you're like, oh, I gotta move it up, I gotta move it over. I see people next to it, and like, no, that's not right. It's supposed to be on top, but when it's on top, it falls behind. And I move it up further, and then I have a gap, and it still doesn't look right. It's so frustrating for them, and the solution is very easy, and that is bar racks. Okay, the military has a long tradition of ribbons, and you see when you see a military officer with their ribbons, they are perfect, neat, crisp, and perfectly aligned. They're never getting out of line. They're never trying to get on top of each other or anything. And so I'm going to show you here how they do that. All right, so let me. I'm going to turn around here, and then I'm going to flip. Okay, so I use a bar rack on mine. See how neat and nice they all sit together, right? And on the inside, it only has 3 pins to hold it. I'm going to take it off here and show you guys all about these things. Now, these things are easy to get. Most military surplus stores have them, but most military supply stores online also have them, or military supply catalogs have them as well. So here we go. It's a rack, okay? And the way we get these on is they slide on. Here, let me push my thumb in there. See, they literally slide off the end. When they talk about a rack, they're literally talking a rack when they talk about pin racks. Okay, and it just slides down. Okay. Now the autonomy of these pins, I got a separate one here to show you. A lot of times with the kids, these come apart and leaders can't put them back together again. But hopefully this will help you, because this just slides. Right? There, see, it just slides out. Let me keep it in the camera here where you guys can see it. So it slides out. This little metal plate down here is just a snap. It just pushes the ribbon, and you can see the end of the ribbon right there. They literally fold the ribbon over the bar. They take this little plate and they snap it down in there. And then they just either snap it on or slide it on to one of these. There you go, ribbon bars. I pushed it right in, and I can just slide it to where it is. Now, if these are moving around too much on you, like you got one that slides off, you can just unslide this, stick a little teeny dot of rubber cement right there, slide it back on, and it'll stay. And you can still remove it. Don't use a hard glue like super glue or something. And you want to make sure it's thick, heavy rubber cement, and use a little dot of it. You don't want to use the really liquidy one, because then it'll bleed through here and create a funny oily spot on the front of your braid. Right? But these just slide off. And if you buy one of these ribbon racks, you can just slide them on. And so when you have new amount of ribbons, you can just upgrade your rack. Okay? And they come from everything from a rack that holds 2. So if you're just finished your friend and companion year and you want your rack to look nicer, you can go ahead and buy a 2 rack. And really small ones start about $1, $2, depending on the brand. And they go all the way up to like $20. Some of them are really, really nice high construction. And of course, they got ones that hold, 30, 40 ribbons too. You may have seen military officers on TV or something like at state dinners and stuff, the Joint Chiefs. They got a lot of pins. And that's what they do. They use a rack, right? Now, and racks are perfect for those ones where you have an odd number because they have a piece on the rack coming up so you can hold a funny number of these. And especially if you start getting also other pins as leaders. Like this one is from my union for area coordinators service. One of these is for service to our clubs and our conference, and one service to the conference. I forget which one's which. And those are just Nevada, Utah. That's just something our conference has. But I know many other conferences have other things they've done or unions. And sometimes you end up with different ones, especially if you've moved around. This is Pacific Union. But if I was to move to another union that had a different one, I might end up with another one up here, right? So I might have a small collection of some different bars, and you want them to all look nice and neat. So you total them up, you find a rack that matches that number, and you slide them all on. Now also, sometimes they don't stay together. If they're not staying together, when you pop the metal bar in the bottom, just take a pair of pliers and just put it right here on the edge. Just take a pair of needle nose pliers and just bend it a little bit. Just bend it in just a little bit, and that will help it stay in as well. That will help it from sliding around, and you can redo them. Now, these also come in some different types, too. Some of the new ones now have magnets instead of these pokey things that if you lose one of these rubber backing things. They have magnets on them, and you keep a magnet inside your shirt, and it keeps it nice and perfect as well. I saw one where they sew the magnet in the right spot in your shirt. So the magnet is permanently attached to the shirt. And then you just put the plate on it. I want to upgrade to one of those next. I think it was like $20 though. So it's a very expensive rack. But I'm going to upgrade to one of those next time I buy a new rack. Because then I can just pop it off for the wash and pop it back on. I don't have to do any pins. But this is much easier than unpinning 9 pins. I mean, that's 18 things you got to push through the fabric and line up just right. That's just not fun. So this is how the military ones work and how to keep them on here. They're perfectly fine for Pathfinder use. All right, because I know some people are like, oh, those aren't Pathfinder. They're not in the manual. You can't get those from Advent Source. Now, that's fine. Not everything we use in Pathfinders is from Advent Source. Just almost everything, right? So, you just look up military ribbon bar rack on Google, and you'll come up with many companies that sell them. And you can order what fits for you. And yeah, there you go. That is how you make your ribbons sit perfect, neat, and nice, no matter how many or few you have, and you can have them perfect every time. Your club could end up with a small collection of them even, and it's like, oh yeah, you moved from a 3 to a 4. We got a perfect 4 for you. Let's help trade those out. Could be a tradition if your club after investor helping the kids trade out their old ones for their new ones. But it's really simple. They're not too expensive. Like I said, most of them start at about $2. I'd say the average price is around $10 for one that holds 7 or 8 or 9, about $10. So, well, there's some advice for you today, and keep doing the good work. And I'll see you on our next fireside chat.